Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a little mental exercise.
Okay, I'm ready.
So it's February 7, 2026. The world is digital, right? Everything's in the cloud. Your whole life is basically on your phone.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I want you to close your eyes for a second, unless you're driving. Obviously, please don't do that.
Please keep your eyes on the road.
Yes. And imagine a physical object. Imagine this heavy, ironclad treasure chest. Really old school, like, something out of a pirate movie.
I like where this is going. Is there gold inside?
Better than gold. Inside this box is everything. Everything you've worked for. Your savings, your ability to buy a car, your grocery money for the next decade. It's all in there.
Wow, okay.
Now imagine you have to hide the key, but here's the catch. If you lose this key, the box doesn't just stay locked. It effectively ceases to exist for you. It welds itself shut.
So there's no locksmith you can call?
There is no locksmith. There's no forgot password link. There is no nice customer service agent waiting to verify your mother's maiden name. There's just the box and the lost key.
That's a terrifying thought. I mean, it goes against everything we're used to in the modern world where everything is recoverable, resettable, insured.
Exactly. And that terrifying reality is what we are unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into the fundamental security of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And we're going to focus specifically on the Pi network as it stands here in early 2026.
And we have a lot to go through.
We have a massive stack of research today. I'm looking at documents from the Pi Academy, live market data from PiBazar, and some pretty dense technical breakdowns of how wallets actually function.
And what I love about this topic, especially looking at it from our vantage point in 2026, is that we aren't just talking about abstract computer code anymore. A few years ago, this whole conversation would have been purely theoretical.
Totally. Here's how you secure your magic internet money.
Right. But today, we're looking at a world where decentralized finance has moved from the fringes into the literal marketplace.
Right. I was looking at the source material for the PiBazar, which is apparently Europe's first community bazaar for this ecosystem. And it's just wild. We aren't just trading tokens. People are buying garden supplies. They are buying car parts.
Alternators, specifically. I saw that.
Yes, an alternator for a sedan. You can literally trade a string of digital code for a physical object that makes your car run.
And that right there, that's the whole point.
That is the mission of today's deep dive. We need to decode the jargon seed phrase, wallet, private key, and figure out how a project that started with some Stanford PhDs back in 2019 has evolved into a place where you can, buy a car part in 2026.
The why is pretty urgent, honestly. Yeah. As digital assets integrate into daily life buying groceries, services, car parts, understanding the keys to the vault isn't just for tech geeks anymore. It's basic financial literacy.
It really is.
If you don't understand how the key works, you are one hard drive crash away from, well, bankruptcy.
Okay, so let's start with that master key. The sources keep referring to something called a seed phrase or sometimes a passphrase. And I feel like most people hear passphrase and just think password.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, I'll just use password 123 or fluffy 2010.
And that is the single most dangerous assumption you can possibly make.
Okay.
Let's break down the definition provided in the Pi Academy guides. They use that analogy you started with. The seed phrase is the special key to a specific briefcase where you keep all your treasures. But it's not a password.
How so?
A password guards the door to the bank. A seed phrase is the bank vault itself.
Okay, unpack that for me. How can a phrase be a vault?
Well, think about how a standard website works. When you type in a password, you're asking a server somewhere, hey, let me in. Right.
And if I forget it, I click a link.
Exactly. The server admin can change it for you. A seed phrase is totally different. It's a mathematical key. The source describes it as a long string of random words, usually 24 words in this specific protocol.
24 words? I mean, I have trouble remembering what I had for breakfast. Memorizing 24 words seems intense.
It is. You're not really meant to memorize it.
And looking at the example provided in our research stack, these aren't just normal sentences, are they? It's not like, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
No, and they shouldn't be. If it were a sentence like that, a computer could guess it in a nanosecond.
Okay.
The security comes from the randomness, or what cryptographers call entropy.
I want to read the specific example given in the text because it really highlights how weird and random this is. I'm going to read this out loud. Get ready.
I'm ready.
Acacia brindled declare chartist goods. Dunghill cavil accepted. Murine kana torify bellbird within swatter bonnet thievish.
It sounds like a surrealist poem. It's just Nonsense.
Dunghill. Imagine your entire financial future resting on the word dunghill.
Or swatter. Or bonnet.
I know.
It is funny, but that randomness is the shield. The list of possible words usually comes from a standardized list. It's called the BIP 39-word list. It has 2048 words.
2,048 words. Okay.
And when you combine them into a sequence of 24, the number of possible combinations is, well, it's astronomical. It's more than the number of atoms in the observable universe.
Whoa. So if a hacker wants to guess my seed phrase, they can't just run a program to try every combination.
They can try, but the sun will burn out before they find yours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of the map, that string of words, acacia, brindled, declarer. It's a map. It mathematically maps to a specific location on the blockchain where your assets live.
It's not just a password, it's a coordinate.
It's the coordinate, the key, and the vault all in one.
Okay, so I have this list. Dunghill and all. Now let's play out the nightmare scenario. This is the part that really stresses me out.
Right.
I have the Pi app on my phone. I've been mining for years. I have a nice little nest egg built up. Then I drop my phone in the toilet, or I leave it in a taxi, or just, the screen goes black and it decides to die.
A classic digital tragedy. Happens all the time.
Is my money gone? Is it stuck in the dead phone?
No. And this is the hardest concept for people to grasp, I think. Your money is never on your phone.
It's not.
Not really. Your money is on the blockchain, which is a global distributed ledger. The phone is just a window. It's a way to see the ledger and interact with it. The seed phrase is the tool that opens that window.
So if I lose the phone...
You buy a new phone, you
Yeah.
download the wallet app again, it'll ask you, do you have a seed phrase? Or restore from backup. You say yes.
And then I just type it in.
You type in those 24 words in the exact right order, acacia, brindle, declarer, and boom, your balance appears. It regenerates the private keys instantly.
It's like magic. It's like teleporting your bank account from one device to another.
It feels like magic, but it's just cryptography. However, this immense power comes with those golden rules that the source material practically screams at you.
Okay, what's rule 1?
Rule number 1, it is a secret.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Literally. You never share it. Not with a support agent, not with a website claiming to verify your wallet, not with your best friend. Because if I have your 24 words, I don't need your phone.
Right?
I can type them into my phone and suddenly I am you. I have complete control. I can drain your funds in seconds.
And there's no fraud department to call, no one to freeze the account.
None. Zero. In the decentralized world, there is no CEO of Bitcoin or Pi who can reverse a transaction. Once the money moves, it is gone forever.
That's the double-edged sword, isn't it? Total control means total responsibility.
Exactly. The source material emphasizes this repeatedly. There is no safety net. You're the bank manager, you're the vault guard, and you're the customer all at once.
And if the bank manager loses the keys in a boating accident...
The vault stays closed forever.
Which brings us to rule number 2. Storage. If I can't memorize dunghill and murine and torify, which I definitely can't, where do I put them? The source says physically or digitally secure, but come on, digitally secure. I feel like storing it on a computer is just asking for trouble.
It is incredibly risky. If you save it in a Word document named myseedphrase.docs on your desktop and you get a virus, game over.
A keylogger or something.
Yep, they'll find it in seconds. The most robust advice, and what's implied here in the best practices, is analog. Paper. Metal. Something that is not connected to the internet.
Writing it down on a piece of paper, it feels so archaic. So counterintuitive. We're talking about futuristic digital currency, and the recommended security protocol is write it on a napkin and hide it in a sock.
It is archaic, but it works because hackers can't hack a piece of paper in your sock drawer.
Good point.
Unless they break into your house, of course.
Ah.
But then, as you said, that's a whole different problem.
Okay, so we've established that the seed phrase is the master key, the one key to rule them all. But the documents also talk about wallets, public keys, and private keys. I feel like people use these terms interchangeably, and it causes a lot of confusion.
It causes massive confusion, and mistakes here are costly. So let's use the analogy from the source because it's really solid. Think of the wallet or public key like your bank account number, your IBAN or a routing number.
Okay, so that's the number I would put on an invoice so I can get paid, the thing I give out.
Precisely. The public key is a long string of characters that is derived from that seed phrase. The source gives a specific example format, starting with a G, it looks like, GCFX, HES4, GXL6, BVUCXB, WX, And it just goes on and on.
It looks like a cat walked across a keyboard. GCFX.
It does, but that string is public. It is designed to be public.
Yeah.
If you want to sell that used car on the PiBazar, you must give that string to the buyer. Otherwise, they don't know where to send the pie.
So just to be crystal clear, if I post that GCFX code on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it in 2026, saying, hey, it's my birthday, send me some pie, am I safe?
You are perfectly safe. The worst thing that can happen is someone sends you money.
I can live with that.
You cannot be hacked just by revealing your public key. It's like telling someone your email address. They can send you emails, but they can't log in and read your inbox.
Okay, that's a great analogy. Public key equals receive. It's the mailbox slot. People can push money in, but they can't reach in and take money out.
Correct. Now, the private key,
Mm-hmm.
that is the key that opens the mailbox. The private key is what lets you send money. It authorizes transactions.
And that's also derived from the seed phrase.
Yes. The source explicitly links the private key and the seed phrase under the umbrella of things you never show anyone.
The text actually uses the word nebulae, which I think is check for, aka or linking private key and seed phrase.
Yeah.
So for the average user, are they basically the same thing?
Functionally, yes. You can think of the seed phrase as just a human-readable version of the private key. The actual private key is another long, gibberish string of numbers that looks like the public key, but usually starts with an S in these stellar-based networks. But because a string of random letters and numbers is so hard to write down without making a mistake, we use the 24 words. It's much easier to correctly write down acacia than S9D8F7G6.
That makes perfect sense. Human error is the biggest bug in any system. So the simple recap rule is public key is for getting paid, private key, and by extension, the seed phrase is for spending or accessing your funds.
Succinct and 100% accurate. And if anyone ever asks for your seed phrase to validate your wallet or upgrade your account, they are a scammer.
Every single time.
100% of the time, no exceptions.
I like those odds. Okay, let's pivot a little. We've locked down the security. We know how to not lose our money. Now I want to look at the ecosystem itself. We were talking about the Pi network. The sources give us a bit of an origin story here. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere in 2026. This has been cooking for a while.
A long while. Since 2019. The source highlights that it was launched by PhDs from Stanford University.
Stanford. That name drops a lot of weight. It's not just some anonymous guy in a basement with a white paper.
No, it implies a certain level of, academic rigor and long-term thinking. And you have to remember the context of 2019. Bitcoin was king, but Bitcoin had and still has a massive problem.
The energy consumption.
The energy consumption. It's incredibly intensive. You need warehouses full of servers, massive electricity bills, and specialized hardware to mine it. It became centralized because average people just couldn't compete.
Right. I can't mine Bitcoin on my laptop. I'd just melt the fan and probably set my desk on fire.
Exactly. So the Stanford team asked a fundamental question. How do we make crypto accessible to everyday people? How do we let people mine on a smartphone without destroying your battery?
And their solution was a button.
A button.
See, this is where the skepticism usually comes in. And I have to ask, because I know our listeners are thinking it. How is pressing a button mining? If my phone isn't getting hot, if it's not solving complex math problems, is it real or is it just a game?
That is the billion-dollar question. And the answer lies in the consensus mechanism. Bitcoin uses something called proof of work. You have to prove you spent a ton of electricity to validate transactions.
Right.
Pi uses a version of the Stellar Consensus Protocol. It relies on what you call proof of trust.
Trust. Okay, how do you mine trust? That sounds very abstract.
You build a security circle. The source mentions the concept of ambassadors and referral codes. When you press that button, you aren't crunching numbers. You are essentially sending a signal that vouches for other users in your network. You're telling the main network, I'm a real human, and I know this other person is a real human.
So it's a social system.
It's a social blockchain.
Okay, I see the referral code example in the data, hrejsi.jwkk.biz. It says if you use a code like this when you sign up, both the person inviting and the person joining get a 25% increase in their mining speed.
Right. And that 25% boost isn't just a marketing gimmick. It's a direct incentive to build out the trust graph. By connecting users who know each other in real life, the network builds this web of trust.
And what does that do?
It secures the network. If a bad actor tries to create 1 million fake accounts to attack the network, the trusted nodes can essentially vote to isolate them. So you aren't using raw computing power and electricity to secure the ledger. You're using your social reputation.
That is fascinating. It's like a digital village.
Yeah.
In a small village, you don't really need a police force to enforce every little contract because everyone knows everyone. If you rip someone off, the whole village shuns you. Your reputation is your bond.
Precisely. It is utilizing social capital instead of electrical capital. And that is why it doesn't drain your battery. The mining is just a tiny heartbeat signal once a day saying, I am here, I am trusted, and I'm still active.
But, and here is the big but, if it's just about pressing a button, what stops me from cheating? What stops me from buying a cheap bot farm of 500 phones, setting them all up to click the button automatically, and becoming a billionaire?
That's the classic Sybil attack, one person pretending to be many people.
Yeah.
This is where the other side of the coin comes in, which the sources discuss in detail, KYC.
KYC. Know your customer.
Or know your client. In the traditional banking world, it's totally standard. In the early crypto world, it was a dirty word. Crypto is supposed to be anonymous and permissionless.
Right, the whole cypherpunk ethos.
Exactly. But Pi took a very different stance from the beginning. They said, if we want to be a real currency used by real people for real things, we need to prove that every single account belongs to a distinct, unique human being.
So when does the mask come off? When do I have to prove I'm me and not a robot?
The source states that the KYC option becomes available and eventually mandatory after 30 mining sessions. You have to be active for about a month. You show some commitment to the network first.
And then what happened?
Then you have to go through a process to verify your identity using a government-issued ID, a passport, a driver's license, something like that.
And the real name rule. The source is very, very specific about this. You must register with your actual legal name. No Crypto King 99 or Satoshi's Ghost.
Correct. And this is where a lot of early adopters get burned if they weren't paying attention. The source mentions a really strict penalty.
I saw that. It's pretty harsh.
It is. If you register with a fake name or incorrect details, and then you try to pass KYC, you don't just get rejected. You could lose 20% of all the coins you've mined.
20%? Ouch! That is a serious deterrent.
It has to be. Imagine you've been mining for 2 or 3 years with a fake name, hoping to slip through. That penalty is the deterrent. It stops the bot farms before they even start, because they know that eventually they will hit a verification wall they can't climb.
And what's the result of all this? I mean, in 2026, where has this policy led?
The result is, and the 2026 data in our sources highlights this, we have 16 million verified users.
Verified, that is the keyword.
That is the keyword. It's not 16 million downloads, it's not 16 million accounts. It is 16 million unique human beings who have shown a passport or an ID. That's a population larger than many European countries.
That is a massive, ready-made economy. And that brings us perfectly to the utility phase. Because having 16 million people holding coins is cool, but if they can't do anything with them, it's just a scorecard.
Right, it's a video game at that point.
But looking at these sources from February 7, 2026, the economy is officially open for business.
Enter the PiBazar.
The first community bazaar in Europe. I love the sound of that. It sounds so old world, so Silk Road, yet it's entirely digital.
Yeah.
So let's look at what is actually for sale here. I'm scrolling through the category list in the source, and it is surprisingly comprehensive. This isn't just people selling digital art.
No, it is not just JPEGs and digital knickknacks.
No. First category, automoto. We talk about the alternator. But this category implies whole vehicles too. Car parts, that requires logistics, that requires shipping. That's real commerce.
It requires a supply chain of mechanics and parts dealers who are willing to accept Thai as payment. Yeah. That's a huge step.
Then there's house and garden, electronics. I'm seeing PCs, mobiles, phone cases. These are high-demand items. If I can buy a new mobile phone using the Pi I mined by pressing a button on my old mobile phone, that feels like a glitch in the matrix.
It is the realization of the initial promise. You converted your time and attention, which is all that daily button press is, into a currency, and now you're converting that currency into tangible goods. That is the definition of money.
It's incredible. There are other categories too. Children's toys, jewelry watches.
Standard e-commerce stuff.
But there is one category here that really caught my eye, and it raises some eyebrows. Alcohol cigarettes, 18 plus.
Yes. That is a very, very significant inclusion.
Why? Is it just because people like to drink and smoke? Or is there something more to it?
It's significant because of the regulation. Selling alcohol, selling tobacco, it requires strict age verification. It requires compliance with local laws. You can't just mail a bottle of vodka to a 12-year-old.
Right, of course.
The fact that this category exists on the PiBazar suggests that the platform has matured enough to integrate with these legal frameworks. They're almost certainly using that KYC data, that verified identity and age, to allow or block purchases in this category.
That is a great point. It shows the ecosystem isn't just some Wild West black market. It's actively trying to play by the rules of the real world.
It has to. If it wants to survive and grow, especially in a place like Europe in 2026, it has to be compliant.
And there is services and work labor listed here too. So it's not just buying stuff, it's hiring people.
This is huge. This is the beginning of a labor market. I can pay you in Pi to fix my roof. You can pay me in Pi to code your website.
So the money doesn't have to leave the ecosystem.
Exactly. This creates a closed-loop economy. If I can earn Pi, and then I can spend that Pi on groceries, and then I can hire a plumber with Pi, do I ever need to convert back to euros or dollars?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. That is the ultimate dream of every crypto enthusiast, the circular economy.
But let's step back and look at the macro picture. It's February 2026. Where does Pi fit in the global landscape? The sources mention some big corporate moves happening.
Yes, there's a headline here that's pretty eye-catching. It says, Pi Network officially transferring ownership to Pi Community Company in the Cayman Islands.
The Cayman Islands, that sounds fancy. And maybe a little stereotypical for a crypto project,
Sure.
tax haven and all that.
It is a common move, sure.
Yeah.
But the really interesting part of that headline isn't Cayman Islands. It's Community Company.
What does that signal?
It signals a potential shift in governance. It suggests they're moving away from the Stanford startup phase, where a small core team controls everything, towards a more decentralized structure, maybe a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, or something similar.
So giving the power back to the 16 million verified users?
Ideally. Or at least creating a legal structure that protects the network's assets and insulates the original founders. The Caymans have very specific regulations for virtual asset service providers. It shows they are thinking about the long-game legal protection, tax efficiency, and global operation.
And speaking of global, the community seems to be expanding and localizing. I see mentions of podcasts in different languages. The source specifically notes a podcast EN and a podcast CZ.
The Czech connection seems strong in our source data, yeah. But this localization is absolutely crucial for adoption. You can't have a truly global currency if everyone is sourced to speak English to participate.
True.
When you start seeing content and bazaars and educational materials pop up in local languages, that is when you know adoption is going mainstream. It's becoming culturally embedded.
So it's not just a Silicon Valley tech toy anymore. It's becoming a tool for people in Prague and Lagos and Manila.
Exactly. And the sources also mentioned it's being tracked on actual exchanges. Gate.io is mentioned for PiUSDT volume. So it's not just a closed system. There's a bridge to the wider crypto market.
There's a price. There's live trading volume. There's real financial data being generated.
It's part of the broader financial conversation now.
But, and we have to be the adults in the room here, we have to talk about the risks. We've painted a pretty rosy picture of buying cars and decentralized utopias. But the source material includes a disclaimer, and we absolutely need to echo it loud and clear.
Absolutely. The source explicitly warns, and we'll say it too, investing in cryptocurrency is high risk.
Extremely high risk, prices fluctuate wildly. Just because an alternator costs 100 Pi today doesn't mean it will cost 100 Pi tomorrow.
It could cost 1,000, or it could cost 1. Volatility is the nature of the beast, especially for a project that's still, finding its footing in the real world.
And remember, this is still experimental technology. We are 16 million people participating in a massive global economic experiment. There's no guarantee of success.
Not at all.
So this deep dive is for informational purposes only. We are not financial advisors. Do not go selling your grandmother's house to buy Pi because of what we said.
Please don't. Exercise extreme caution. Do your own research. Go look at the bazaar listings yourself. Read the white papers.
And check your security.
Always, always check your security.
That brings me back full circle to where we started. The box. The key. We've traveled all the way from the acacia brindled dunghill seed
It's
phrase.
still my favorite phrase of the day. It's just so good.
Through the Stanford mining app, past the KYC checkpoints, and all the way into the European bazaar where you can buy real stuff. It's an incredible journey. But it all rests on that one single fragile point of failure.
The human element, us.
We have spent thousands of years evolving money. We went from bartering goats to gold coins to paper receipts for that gold to plastic cards to just tapping our phones.
We made it easier and easier to spend.
And in doing so, we handed over custody. We handed over the keys to the banks. We let them hold our money for us.
And now, the pendulum is swinging back. We are taking the keys back. We're being our own bank.
But the keys are weird now. They're not metal. They are 24 random words, and they can buy you a car. So I want to leave our listeners with this thought. It's a question that might keep you up tonight.
Let's hear it.
If your entire financial identity, your ability to trade, to buy, to survive in this new digital layer of 2026, if it all relied on 24 random words written on a single piece of paper, where is that piece of paper right now?
Oof.
I think it's in the drawer. Where is it exactly? Is it safe from fire, from water? Is the ink fading? Is your dog chewing on it as we speak?
That is a chilling and very necessary reality check.
You are the bank, so you better act like it. Check your safes, everyone,
Yeah.
and maybe laminate that piece of paper. Thanks for diving in with us.
Stay secure.
See you next time.